Hello.
Until I get out of the frame.
You were out of screen. I was way too close up. Great. Hello.
You
Welcome,
were
everyone.
close enough that I didn't need to be in the shot. That's how it was.
Yeah, that's right. For a second there, it looked like I was so close that you had to like duck. I was like, how'd you know that? The one time. No, it's every time.
It's let's see here. Yeah, so we had a great session yesterday. I learned a ton about WASM Cloud.
Yes.
Another shout out to Bailey for joining the stream with us and helping us work through that. So yesterday we ran into some issues. The issues were probably just misconfigured because we kept updating different components of the WASM Cloud platform as a whole, and the scheme probably just get mismatched. So what we're doing today, I've deleted the cluster. I rebuilt a new AKS cluster, so we have a fresh new Kubernetes environment to deploy to. And we found out that there is a single Helm chart to rule them all. So let me share my screen. Entire screen, this one. Which Bailey was kind enough to share a link to, which is right here. So let me put that in the chat for everybody else who is interested in such things. So the documentation that we were following will be updated with this in the very near future, as I'm told.
Yes.
But if we look at this WASM Club platform, there's essentially a new Helm. Why did you refresh up top? Thank you. A new Helm chart.
Hell yeah.
And I also got it to allow us with Yasha's latest tag. So it should not complain.
Oh, great.
The latest tag.
Love that.
Anyway, instead of the 3 different commands, 2 Helm charts, and then a manifest application, it's all now bundled in this single deployment. So don't be confused, like deploy the platform and create the host. Those are the same Helm chart. They're just different settings that you can set. And if we go down here, here are all the options that you have for the Helm chart.
Oh, good.
It's going to pass those values all the way down. Yesterday, we were talking about like, well, how do we get the allowed versions? We can't just inject it into the pod because then the upper higher level deployment isn't aware of it and it won't cascade properly. So this is how you would define that and then have it properly cascade across the configurations.
I see.
So if we copy this, bring it over here, this is essentially what I've done.
Okay.
So these commands here, let's minimize this. We'll clean this up a little bit. So that is no longer needed.
Ooh.
And to replicate what I did, we basically just created a new cluster with these lines. So
real quick, line by line, if I can read it out just to make sure I understand.
Please do.
So here on line 5, you create the what's it called? The resource group?
Yep.
Great. And then within that resource group, we say, okay, we're going to create an AKS cluster with a single node. And then I guess line 13, we get the credentials.
Correct.
And those credentials allow us to deploy to it, to configure it, to do things with it. Is that right?
Yeah. So that is what populates the kubectl or kubectl.
Okay.
Context.
Oh.
So that's connecting it to the AKS cluster. Otherwise, it's your kubectl commands aren't going to know like which. I have like 40. I need to clean up my config because I've got a bunch of stale clusters that need to be removed. But all that's doing is getting the credentials pulled into your kube config.
Okay. That wasn't quite what I thought it would do, but that makes perfect sense. Of course, you need to. Okay, great. And then on line 16, we say, okay, let's install WASM Cloud, and this entire thing just runs now. Single neat.
Yep. So now it's a single Helm deploy. So instead of these things here that we did where we deploy nats, the WADM, the operator, the WASM host, all that's bundled now on this Helm chart.
Great.
So we just run this. So if we wanted to, I've installed it and I haven't done anything with it, but with Helm, it also makes it super easy to do this. So we could do Helm uninstall WASM Cloud platform.
Okay.
And so this is going to remove it. It's done. No longer there. And then I can copy this again. So this would be an easy way to reset. So like yesterday when we got in a weird state.
Yeah.
Now that everything's bundled, we can just nuke the entire, like uninstall the Helm charts, and then we'll be back to a fresh cluster. Theoretically, and then we can just run the install command. So this right here on line 35, this allow latest true. That's what we need
Perfect.
to latest take for our OCR artifacts.
Yeah. Eventually we can get rid of that option, but first we have to like update our app to like deploy with or like release with a tag and a version.
Yep.
Cool.
So now we have it. Now we should be able to. I'm gonna have to wait a minute for it all to like finish propagating and stuff. But now we should be able to look at the, let's see, get pods. Oh, we've got a WADM error here.
Yeah.
Rutrow, it wasn't like this before. Okay.
Ruh-roh.
Logs pod. Oop. Stop at you. Pods. No, that should work. Okay. Maybe it deleted it already. Yeah, it did. Okay. Oh, it was deleting the old.
Ah.
Yep, that's what it was doing.
That makes sense.
Very good.
Okay.
So here's the operator. I'm still looking for the. We should see the host here pretty soon. There should be a host, a WASM Cloud host.
Maybe the delete command didn't quite work.
It's possible, but it should, when we reinstall, it should be able to. Unless this didn't run. Let's look at the history. Deploy, Helm, install. Interesting.
Did we run that?
Should have run this. Maybe I didn't copy the last line where it had enabled true. It should have, but we'll just run it again to see. Okay. There it is, host.
Hey.
I think I just was being impatient. I think I didn't need to rerun the apply again.
I see.
So I think I just was being impatient.
It does say 5 seconds ago rather than 118, so maybe.
Maybe we could delete it all and watch it apply again, but we won't. That's like
yeah.
kind of watching paint dry. So now we should be able to run our application config or deploy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at deploy YAML, well, we could still try to use her versioned one if we wanted to, but I'm curious if it will honor that environment variable we set. So image, let's see if it remembers. ghcr.io session. Doesn't remember.
Nope.
Rust, WASI, hello, there it is. Package. This is what we want. Okay, that should work.
Mm-hmm. Did we rename it in any way? We didn't, right?
No, we just switched out the OCR artifact.
Okay.
So if you look, we've got Rust, WASI, hello, Rust, WASI, hello.
Great.
And what did she use a different name for this? Linked or
we can watch back the VOD to find out.
Okay, we might have to. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't remember,
What is
but
it?
I
Yeah,
do remember it was like different. Just
API version not allowed. Explain to me. Traits.
That's a lot of text.
Yeah, I don't think it's useful. I don't think it knows what it's talking about.
Okay.
We'll just try. Okay, apply -f deploy. Create. Yeah, it doesn't know what it's talking about. It's saying that this CRD isn't deployed and therefore this API path is not valid, but it is valid.
Okay. Oh, that's a Kubernetes plugin.
Yeah, it's linter for that or IntelliSense.
Mm-hmm.
Failed. So that's
Oy.
different. So let's look at get pods. And then there's the host.
Okay.
And then I copy it out from my history. This one.
The logs command.
Yes. So it's this. Okay, logs -c wasm cloud host, and then the name of the container.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we got here?
Started
Nats.
listening. Now it's connected. Config change receiver errored.
The config sender has dropped, and the whole bundle has failed. Wasm bus.
Maybe it has something to do with the partial deploy that we might have been looking at.
It's a whole new cluster. There's nothing else that's been deployed.
Well, we did see the one failure where Wasm Cloud host was not spun up together with the operator.
Oh, I see. Oh, from the server config standpoint.
Because we did a delete and then there was a failure in deleting the resource, and then we like tried to apply and like part of it was applied. So I don't know.
So let's delete that. I'm curious. Let's see if we get the same error with the image that Bailey uploaded.
Okay.
Because then we can kind of say like, hey, that's actually a server error. Which I imagine is probably.
Oh, by the way, you use Vim bindings, right?
I do, yeah.
If you go into command mode or like the default mode,
Okay.
type in GCC.
GCC.
Boop.
Oh.
Uncommented.
Nice. Thank you.
There you go. Hey.
I usually select the line and then I have Control C, which is I think it's a VS Code one.
Yeah. I was like, I feel like you might not know about that one, but
I don't. No, I love learning those little things. I can't unvim now. That's the thing. I can't not vim. It's just too. I don't know. It's too much there. But I love learning those little things.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many more macros that I could learn. So we deleted the deployment. We're going to try out Bailey's image and see if we get the same one. Now, what we can do is we can delete the pods. So delete pod, just to clear. I'm doing this to clear the logs, and it should just rebuild them.
Okay.
Probably my favorite thing about Kubernetes, git pods running 13 seconds ago. Okay, so now we have a new one. Logs. We got to replace this. Now, if I had better kubectl jQuery foo, I would be able to get this by a label, but okay, git applications. So, okay, so we've got a new host created. Let's apply.
I'm surprised the logs command isn't like easier to run.
Created. I believe that's mostly due to them having 2 containers as part of that deployment with the NAT sidecar.
Okay.
And so you have to rely on label. I think if I was smart, I would actually, if I was being smart with my queries, I could just target the container that has the label of the host and not the NAT sidecar, and then I'd be able to do it without the container name. So this means the config server has dropped.
Yep.
So we got the same thing.
So it's not the app, it is the
at least if it is, it's a problem with both versions of the app, versioned and unversioned. So we got past the first issue, which it no longer cares about using the latest tag, but there's still an issue that we're running into. It could be server side, it could be most likely server side.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Buckets default, handling start provider. So the provider is the web server, which is the second part of this deployment.
How hard is it to tear it all down and reset altogether?
Not super hard.
Okay, because I feel like that's the turn it off and on again approach to debugging.
Yeah, if we could try that. Like delete, uninstall the WASM cloud or rebuild an entire new cluster.
The entire new cluster takes like 5 minutes, so let's do the quick one.
Okay.
Just as like, yeah, why not?
So let's see here. Setup. So we can keep the old one just for fun. We'll just add a new one.
I worry about like, hey, we're gonna turn it off and on again, but only this part.
Well, that's kind of the that's a fair assumption, but with the way the Kubernetes resources are designed, if you can get rid of all of the CRDs or the resources inside of a deployment, then the cluster is back to its original state. And then you really are starting fresh, but there is probably some other kind of configuration still left there. But that's the whole promise and idea, is to be able to do that without rebuilding everything underneath.
Okay.
But we can build a new one just for fun. Doesn't take that long. So while that goes,
Oh, an entire new, completely new instance. I see.
yeah.
I see. Okay.
So let's close that. So while we're waiting for this to run, build us a new cluster, we'll just tinker around.
I meant like yeah. No, I was saying like, hey, yeah, what if we uninstall Wasm Cloud and reinstall it? But I think you took it
Oh,
as like, let's recreate a cluster. It's I was confused.
well, let's do both. Helm uninstall Wasm Cloud platform.
Uh-huh.
So now if we get our pods,
Then we have a bunch of stuff still, right?
we're gonna wait. So this should all stop. Like all the NATs, all this should be terminated.
Okay.
So we'll just have to wait. So we just
Oh,
lost the NATs. Now it's working on the
good.
WATM. Still working on the WATM. If anybody
Oh,
go ahead.
it does say 3 restarts 11 minutes ago, which is interesting.
There's one. Okay, now we're just down to Wasm Cloud. Be interesting if it doesn't terminate this.
Uh-huh.
That should be a bug. A bug. We found a bug.
Because like this is the second like time we're like recreating this.
Yes.
And the last time we tried to stand it up, it went into failure mode, and then we like reran the command, and then we got what seemed like a good mode.
Yeah, we kicked
But
it.
I wonder if it was actually, it was like segmented somehow, like it didn't know about each other.
It could be. I might have run the commands too quick, seeing how long it took to delete this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I can delete that manually, but that should definitely be part of the cleanup with the Helm uninstall. So we can file that as an issue, that it doesn't delete the host. Okay, get pod. Nope.
Get odds.
My pinky can't hit P quick enough.
Do I have an overbuilt solution for you? Have you considered switching to like the tiniest keyboard in the world?
You know, I have considered it. I have.
Oh, error.
Yep. Crash loop backup.
Oh, it doesn't like being stopped.
I told you to go away. And you, what's this? Okay, describe pod.
See, so we don't know whether this one was the problem, but it sure is not behaving the way we'd like it to.
A volume polluted, populated by a config map. It also shouldn't prevent you from deleting, you know?
Our uptime is so good that we just don't go down. Like we refuse.
Interesting. Maybe I need to delete. Oh, it's changing the pod names. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
That I am interested. This is probably a Kubernetes. Maybe Paul would know because he's taken some of the Kubernetes exams. So when you have a pod deployment that has 2 pods, how does it choose what name to display to you? So what happened just right here is we went and said, okay, there's the lingering WASM cloud host pod deployment.
Uh-huh.
And it had the one with the WASM cloud host listed in our Git pods. So I deleted that. And then we did Git pods again. We're like, oh, I didn't delete it, but it technically did. It just deleted the first of two. And then the name changed to the second one. So I'm more curious how Kubernetes is determining what to display to you, or why, or how could you delete both with a single command? Probably target the deployment or something. But so now we should see no pods. We still see a pod.
Ooh,
So there's,
spicy.
but that's a different name.
Yeah. Look, 60 seconds ago, created. So we tried to delete it, and it was like, nope.
Is there something replicating it?
Uh-huh.
I bet there's something replicating the pod that's preventing us from. So let's describe it next time, and it should see if it's part of something. Yep. K describe.
Well, different hash now.
Oh, correct, because it recreated.
Or ID, I guess.
So where's deployment conditions? Restart count to host controlled by replica set. There's our controlled by. That's how it's being recreated. Is there deployment? No. Okay, so K get replica set. Okay, so that's how it is. So if we delete this, no, no.
Okay, how many replica? Can you get the replica sets again?
Yeah, there's only one. It's why are you still there? Okay, delete. Says it's deleted. How do you delete a replica set? Oh, maybe if we describe replica set, it'll tell us if there's a describe replica set WASM cloud. This is probably part of a deployment.
Replica set controller
Controlled by. Did you see that? Where'd it go?
at the bottom there. Oh, I guess
deployment. Not. There we go. That's what we need to take care of. So that's why.
Oh.
Okay, get deployment. I should have started there. Here. So okay, delete. This should get rid of the replica sets and the pods. I was just not doing it at a high enough level. Deployment. That's fun though. It's a fun little whack-a-mole game you can play if you've got time.
Yeah, what's restarting and recreating who? It's like, yeah. The pod's owned by the replica set.
I feel like there needs to be a children's song made about this. So
okay,
I can remember.
Little Timmy. Today we're gonna learn
why you should look at deployments first.
Yes.
There.
Hey.
There. Okay. So now we can rerun the install and see if everything comes back. So if we look at git deployments, we shouldn't see any WASM. K git. Would it be Helm list? No Helm charts deployed. Okay.
Good.
And I think our new cluster is probably ready too, whenever we want to switch over. All right. So we'll have to give this a little bit, but if we do git deployments, I see WADM, I see the WASM cloud operator, and I bet this
is not ready.
Not ready yet, but I wonder, this option right here is what enables, supposedly what enables the host. So if you look at the docs here, let me bump this up for everybody. Create a WASM cloud host. You notice the only thing different here is the set host config enabled true. Check on the status of the newly created host. Error not found. So I wonder if that's not working properly, but it might just be a timing thing. Host enabled. Whether, let me just maximize this. Whether to install WATM Cloud hosts subchart. So I think that's the wrong value actually. Should be host enabled and not host config.enabled, right? Because host config down here, are they the same? Whether to use the WASM Cloud host configuration custom resource that requires the WASM Cloud host config CRD, which is part of the WASM Cloud operator. I don't know how these differ. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Go this way. Scroll. There we go. So host enabled and host config enabled. Where did it go? There it is. I don't know how those two differ. Interesting. So what if we... So last time we just reran it and the host popped up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what happened? That'll be interesting. Let's just find out. If that's what happens. Yeah. That's very strange. There must be a timing thing. Remember when I was talking about the weird timing issues with Kubernetes? So I'm wondering if that deployment is waiting on something to start and then it just never looks back to see that it can start.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That, or maybe we need to just remove this for now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do helm uninstall WASM Cloud hosts or WASM Cloud platform. Okay, get deployments. And that didn't take care of the host, which is interesting. Okay, delete deployment, WASM Cloud host. That should get us a clean slate again once these are done terminating. Okay. Okay, get deployments. All right. So I removed this set value. I wonder, I doubt that was the issue, but we can find out. No. Super interesting. But if we run it again, okay, there's an error on the WATM portion this time. Back off, restarting failed container. Okay, get logs, pod, this. Oh, and it's already deleted it. Is it another sidecar? It is another sidecar. Jetstream temporarily unavailable. Let's just delete it. I'm fairly certain the very, 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 very first time that I deployed the chart that the host did show up, though.
Mm. So we're in our first cluster, right? Can we
Yes.
simultaneously, because we're trying to recover from a apparently bad state. In our
Yes.
second cluster, where are we?
We've just built, so I'll have to
Okay.
change context.
Yeah.
It might be better. We'll just do this, and I'll switch context. If it gets annoying, I'll just start a new. I'll start a new container and then do that. So now we should be switched to cluster 3. Should have no pods. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so nothing's touched this cluster. It's brand new.
Uh-huh.
We should be able to just run
Yep.
this, right? And that looks right from bash syntax. Like I've got all my little dashes, hyphens, whatever, or backslashes. Or are they forward slashes? Backslashes.
It's like this. You wrote it correctly.
Okay. All right, install. Let's go for it. Okay, unable to build Kubernetes object manifest mapping, WASM Cloud host namespace from default from blank, no matches for kind, WASM Cloud configuration and version, WASM Cloud.dev v1 alpha 1. Interesting. Unable. That would make sense because the CRD is not deployed yet for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to run the host deployment before the CRD is available. That was a prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
Is that making sense? So if we do k get deployments, that's why we have to rerun it. Maybe. Let's try it again. Same thing. Very strange. Resource mapping not found. Do I have to... What if we did this? Deploy it without. And then this will just test my theory. GCC. Remember that. Burn it into my mind. Because Helm can also do upgrades of existing deployments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's totally the issue.
Okay.
But we're
Wait.
still getting a warning. Unknown field, spec, max linear memory bytes.
Oh.
I don't know where
Wait.
that's
That's
coming
a
from.
go error?
Yeah.
Like warnings.go, line 70.
Yeah, well, Helm's written in Go.
Ah. Wild. Okay. So this is our second cluster, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So my current assumption, my current thinking is the reason why we have to deploy it twice is because if we look at this value, if we look at this
Is the
chart,
health broken?
it's not waiting. So the
Oh.
WADM, so NATS, WADM, the operator, I'm imagining it's in the operator. This
Mhm.
operator needs to be deployed before the API for the WASM Cloud host is available.
Okay.
And so, but it's running them both at the same time in the Helm deploy.
I see.
So if you turn off the host feature and deploy it without the host, so then the CRD becomes available, and then you add it in and update the deployment to include a host, it will be
Okay.
there, which is probably why the documentation is written the way it is. If we look at this,
Mm-hmm.
it says to deploy the cloud with this command and then create the host. I was assuming you could just run this instead of having to run that and then update it and running this, because the only thing different is this right here. So
Okay.
that's interesting. I wonder in Helm, there's got to be a way that you can have the WASM host wait for the operator to finish? Right? I don't know. Phone a friend, Bailey. Where are you? That's
I
something.
mean,
That's a good issue to file and look into, though.
yeah. I mean, that definitely.
Because my assumption is I should just be able to run this and it would work. I shouldn't have to run
No.
this and then run this.
Oh, no, absolutely. This should be a single command. That's what they say too, right? In the
Right.
README, like, hey, just copy and paste this. This will work.
Yep.
The fact that that's
It does
failing,
if you don't want to host. I don't know why you wouldn't want to host. I think you would need a host, but I don't know the scenario in which the host is needed. Like for us, it's needed for our particular deployment, but is it needed for all deployments? I don't know.
I don't know how you do it without a host.
Same. I don't know. But anyway, that's how we got it. So we've got a host now. So we're on cluster 3. Do we want to try
Wait,
our app deploy?
wait. So which part wouldn't be? Line 34, 35? You need to rerun?
Yes.
Okay. So we are host config, right? That only sets a host config. You'll always have a host, but whether you apply host config is a separate thing.
Yeah, it's a separate deployment. This
Oh,
enables a separate deployment.
I see.
Yeah, so if you look at the Helm chart, NATS is a deployment.
Okay.
WADM is a deployment.
Okay. And then host config?
Operators is a deployment.
Okay.
And then there's host. And then there's
Ah,
host config, which
that's also a deployment. I
yes, these are
see.
both deployments, but I don't know the difference. That was where the values I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
And here, host enabled lines up with this block, right? So host
Yeah.
dot enabled is this value right here. And then there's host config enabled. So I don't know the
Okay.
difference between, whether to install a WASM Cloud operator chart. Make sure to either install WASM Cloud operator or WASM Cloud host, not both.
Wait, do we have both?
I don't know. Don't think so.
I think I saw it. Can you go back?
Yeah. Would you want to look at pods?
Yeah.
So you have an operator
And a host.
and a
Check it out.
host. So should we set operator to false then? Is
I
there any
assume so. I mean, they're saying they're mutually exclusive.
does that, but it doesn't do it here. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, we ran that command and like our thing is clearly not working. So
True. So
right.
so according to this, make sure you either install WASM Cloud Operator or WASM Cloud Host, not both. Okay. So we should put operator to false. But here's a separate config. Is host and host config. Let's read this. Whether to install the WASM Cloud host. Okay, so that means this. This and this are the thing. Make sure either WASM Cloud Operator or WASM Cloud hosts installed, not both. Okay. So if we're going to use host, we should.
What command did we run to enable it? Can you go back?
We ran this one. Host config enabled right here.
We ran two options, right?
Yeah, we set this to true. Well, the other one was just the versions. That enabled us to do the latest
we
version.
added one more thing. We added two tailing options.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, host config allow latest equals true. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So we did not enable the host deploy, which is default false. So that should be fine.
Right. But I wonder if setting host config to true inadvertently enables host.
I don't see how.
Because this is still a host though, right? This is a WASM Cloud host. Whether to use a WASM Cloud host configuration custom resource. Default. Oh, maybe host config is modifying the operator when the operator is used instead of the host.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Which makes for a funny name because it is.
Yeah,
like the correct name is operator or host config in that case, right?
Yes, that's what it would be. That's what it'd be.
Yeah.
So it should work. So then we still have the issue of, hey, Then why? So if we don't need it and we only need the operator, is that correct now? So if we have an operator, we don't need host.
I,
And
I mean, I don't know that because I don't know whether Wasm Cloud Host is part of the other thing. I don't remember seeing it before, or I don't remember seeing operator before.
yeah, operator was there yesterday in our cluster. Unfortunately, I deleted it. I should have left it. But it was there because that was part of the manual. If we look at our commands, we have to deploy the operator. See? And then we deploy the host, the Wasm Cloud hosts. I have a question. I
Yeah.
have an idea. What if we go to cluster 2? What state are we at? We've got everything deployed. So let's uninstall Wasm Cloud platform. Okay. And then, okay, get deployments. Okay, delete the host. And we deploy it without those options. So this is just the deploy according to the docs. This is the deploy Wasm Cloud platform. Okay. And we try to deploy to the platform our application without a host and just see what happens.
Okay.
Oh, I've got an extra dash. Okay. So now it should just deploy because we're not worried about the operator existing and then being able to deploy the host container because the API is not there. So if we get our pods, we've got our WATM pod and our operator pod. This is airing. Let's just see if it's fine now. Okay. So K apply -f deploy YAML. Unable to initialize a NATS client. So I think we need the host. You know? Because we didn't get that error before.
Yeah.
So if we add the host, why you do this to me? There you go. Now it will add the host deployment. We've got our host. We'll apply our configuration. So the host does need to be part of the deployment to run our application manifest. Failed. Are we running into the same error? Host k logs pod -c Wasm Cloud host. Is that right? I probably messed that up. Yeah, I did. Klogs -c Wasm Cloud host pod name. Are we getting the same error? Bucket already exists, skipping creation, host ID, handling, provider. Config changed, receiver errored. This means that the config server sender has dropped and the whole bundle has failed. Error channel closed. Starting capability provider Wasm hello HTTP server instance with NATS. Linking component with provider. Private file. config change receiver errored. Are we still in a failed state? Reconciling. Oh boy. Okay, well, this is a different error, right?
I wish this was a little easier.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I feel like I want to say, okay, we've been at this for a little while, right? 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that Helm chart needs some time to bake. Let's not use that. Let's follow a tutorial, make sure that it's up to date. Or let's follow what we had and make sure it installs an up to date version. Because we've been seeing too many failures.
Yeah, a lot of inconsistencies.
Things that are out of order, or things that are like giving like internal errors, or even like, we're getting errors from like Helm. That it needs some time, I think.
I agree. So what we can do is we can roll it out. Okay, and yeah, we'll just work through it. I know what to do. Delete deployment. Okay, Helm uninstall. Do we want to just start a new cluster? Cluster 4.
Yeah, let's just do that.
All right. I'm gonna have to remember to delete these, or I'm gonna be yelled at for bills.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here.
Do you want me
Which is
to put a
fair?
reminder in for you?
Oh, I'll remember.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, just making sure.
I'm used to working in an MSDN with $150 monthly limit. So I've gotten pretty good.
Hell yeah.
Pretty good at it. So let's just do this. I don't need a new group. We'll just keep the same resource group. I'll just delete the whole group when we're done. Create cluster 4. And then what we'll do is we can't just run the commands in the tutorial. We'll have to take and then update the manifest, or like the Helm values to point to the latest, which I think I have locally from yesterday's stream right here.
Mm-hmm.
And here. So it shouldn't be a big deal. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Cluster. This is cluster 3. See, if I was in Tmux, I could label this like cluster 3, like label my sessions. I'm sure I can in VS Code. I'm just lazy. What? Do you see this?
What?
So I just now realized this. I never use the kubectl plugin for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Probably early on mistrust is why. But
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed that this little button here tells me what cluster I'm in.
That's kind of nice.
And I can switch, I would imagine, between the clusters.
That sure seems to be the case.
That's handy. Because otherwise you got to go, okay, config,
Mm-hmm.
current, context. Oh, okay, config, git, contexts. Okay.
I see.
You see.
Yep.
That game. What is it, Hanselman, that has, like you only have so many keystrokes to make in your life? So it's like his justification for learning shortcuts. Like you'll only type so many keys in your life. So if you know more shortcuts, you can get more done, kind of thing. Or keystrokes. Isn't that a thing? I don't know. I feel like I remember him here saying that.
I don't know.
15 years ago.
But I do know competitive StarCraft. And like if you don't know hotkeys, like what are you doing?
Oh, you're done. Yeah. I'd never been. I'm a competitive person. And just at this stage in my life, I don't have the time to dedicate to such things to be really good like I used to be. Like I used to be
No.
a really good Halo 2 and Halo 3 Halo Reach player. Like
Uh-huh.
pretty solid.
Mhm.
Um, I'd often go like 20-1, even in the higher tiers.
Oh wow.
Played it a lot, and
Mhm.
Call of Duty too. But I tried playing it. It's probably been like 8 years ago now. But I downloaded the latest whatever Call of Duty it was. I rage quit on that so fast. I was just like, I will play campaign mode. That is all I can do because I was getting destroyed. Destroyed. It was sad. Oh, it was Rainbow Six Siege. That's what I was playing. That was tough. So StarCraft was a very similar scene. I could hold out into I think it was up to gold.
Oh yeah, I never got beyond gold.
Yeah.
I just watched the competitive like StarCraft. I love, but yeah.
You can be inspired by it, but I was like, yeah, I could probably if I put a lot into it, maybe get there, maybe. It's just
Mm.
not worth it. But it's fun to watch. Just like the
Oh
competitive
yeah.
programming, that's super fun to watch.
Oh
I won't
yeah.
spend that much time on data structures and algorithms, but it's fascinating to see those people work. And so I think we're always fascinated by watching masters of their craft work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I could get into competitive programming, but I kind of just don't. Cuz it feels like you'll become good at like coding interviews, and it kind of feels like there like amount of time to like actual usefulness is fairly low, but then
Yes.
amount of time to like actual joy from it is also like fairly low for me. So I'm like, if I'm gonna like really pour my heart into something, like
It should be
why
keyboards.
not? Yeah, what keyboards or making food or
Yeah.
like bird spotting. I've never done it, but sure, I don't
That makes total sense to me. I've struggled. That's
know.
actually been one thing on my list is like hobbies.
I've got a pun. Sorry, sorry.
What's your pun?
Competitive programming. Yeah, I've got a GitHub account. What do you mean?
It's valid.
Okay.
We've got some commits. Oh, did you see that one? It was going around on Twitter was it like probably a month or two ago.
Mhm.
But somebody created an AI chatbot that looks at your GitHub account and then like
Roasts
bashes
you?
you, roasts you.
Yeah.
Was it the GitHub account roast app? GitHub roast app. There we go. This is
I
it.
did get a chuckle out of this.
That's probably spoofer. Is this it?
Yep,
This is it. What does it say about me? I'm curious now. Do you just put your username? Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh, what does it say? It was down
Roasting.
last time I tried because everybody was getting it. Self-proclaimed advocate. Humble you.
Oh gosh.
Peaked in the application phase. Oh, sounds impressive until you realize it's just a fancy way of saying,
Go somewhere pushing buttons.
there's some truth to some of it. Let's see here. 40. I know a lot, but maybe not enough to be relevant. Ouch. Automated docility exams. Well, you really think people are clamoring to automate a system that's already user friendly? That's questionable. Oh, let's see here. Barely.
Oh, no.
Oh,
The next one.
the
The
one
one.
shiny thing appears to your PowerShell scripts. It's like watching a toddler marvel. Ow. Ow. Oh, that's brutal. That's good. That's good. I
Oh no,
like
it
it.
keeps going. It
Oh, I
keeps
haven't read it.
going.
Should
Enjoy
we
these
continue
meager
on?
81 stars on your on PowerShell because the rest of your repos look like they have the same engagement as a Facebook post from your mom.
Let's see. Give up creating anything original and just decided to hoard your digital junk. Yeah, maybe. Let's see here. With followers outnumbering those you follow, it seems like people are more interested in watching you flop than actually engaging with your work. Keep milking that Microsoft name. It's the only valid part of your identity. Oh, cries. That's a pretty good roast. That's a good roast.
It is a pretty good roast.
Do we put yours in?
Yep, you're welcome to. After putting you through it.
Oh, that's fine. I think that's good fun.
Yeah,
It's good to have tough skin. Oh, we should probably get back to this though. We'll save yours for tomorrow
Oh,
or next week.
sure.
Unless you're super curious, we can. I think we got.
No, I've put mine in, but it's more like in
It's got
balancing
to be
all
different.
things.
It's got to be different. Well, you've got a lot more going on in GitHub than I do, so it's probably got less fuel.
I remember I didn't like get out of that one like unscathed either. Like
Oh, that's good stuff.
for all my like, no, I should have real hobbies. It's like, no, take a look at my GitHub. Like
It's a work in progress, right? Like that's what I'm trying to get to. Some real
yeah.
hobbies. I just struggle to find something that I enjoy as much. I think that's maybe it's a good thing I enjoy tech that much that it's hard to find a hobby that isn't tech related, but it also is not good.
I mean,
it's
good
I'd
to
like
like
to do
have,
something outside though. I really would. I'd like to have more
yeah.
reason to be outside, if I'm being honest. Like canoeing, kayaking, I don't know, something.
Yeah. Do you like hiking, walking around, that kind of stuff?
Not particularly. I mean, I would, but there's not like a lot of hiking
Oh, okay,
where I'm
okay.
at.
I guess I don't really know like what nature is around like where you live.
It's the plains, like it's
Okay.
relatively flat, a lot of like farmland and stuff. There's some. I'm probably being lazy in saying that there's not a lot. There's just not mountains or an ocean,
Mhm.
like big fancy things. But nature is nature. There's a lot of national parks nearby, a lot of different things like that I probably could.
You ever considered gardening or like growing your own vegetables or something?
We did do that. I just tore it down. We didn't do it this year. Just kind of tomatoes grew back, but didn't take very well.
I see. I see.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's go through these steps. So we need to
If I had the
add.
space for it, I think I'd like pick up woodworking like properly.
That would be fun because
Yeah.
then you could actually build things.
Mhm. I like making stuff. Doesn't have to be like software. It can be like anything. Like whether it's food or sewing or like, building a keyboard, that kind of stuff.
I can
Okay.
relate to that. So we're going to install the NATs. I don't think that was one that we needed to update. The WADM we are going to need to update. So let's update this command. This should look very similar to what I have locally. Yeah. So this is the WADM right here with the new version. So if we go back here, where'd the docs go? There we are. I need to update this command. So if we paste this in, I need to point it to wadm.yaml. Okay. And that's going to install the latest version of the wadm component. And then the operator, which I think would be this. Let's just take a look. I'm getting really good at deploying it.
Sure seems like it.
That's not even valid anymore. Let's see.
Protesting the rollout of the Helm chart because we've gotten so good at deploying it by hand. It's
Yeah.
like,
Who needs Helm? Deploy base. That's where I'm at. Okay, there's a customized deployment. Interesting. So how do we modify this? Oh, this is the WADM cloud. So this stays as is. The operator stays as is. So we do that. That deployed the operator. Now we do the WADM host. This should look like what I have locally. Yep. Except for we want version 121. So we'll just close that. Is that just an apply? Yeah. WASM Cloud. Okay, we got our host created. We could describe the host potentially. Yep. And then we can deploy the workload. Okay, so we're at the point. Let's just check all of our resources. Okay, get pods. Everything's running. We have our host. We do not have a controller. So this is interesting. I wonder if we would need to update our deployment to point to the controller resource instead of the resource that's behind the host, the WADM host. Maybe Bailey should watch this live stream and then she'll have all these great questions that she can answer. Or someone from WASM Cloud.
Yes.
Because I think they're decent questions. Decent.
I think so too.
All right. So now we have everything deployed. I think we can go ahead and attempt to deploy kapply -f deployment. Okay, it worked. It deploys at least. Okay, get applications. Reconciling makes me nervous. It's staying there a while. So let's get the logs. Logs -c WASM Cloud host. Started the host, receiver errored. Config change receiver errored. Still getting that receiver errored issue. I think we should paste this in as an issue and see if they can get some people to help us on the GitHub. So no matter what deployment we've done the normal one. So we did exactly what she recommended, minus the Helm charts just now. Latest version of everything deployed independently, without the super awesome Helm chart. Not sarcasm, because it will be awesome when it's more polished. We've done both, and we still get this same error about config change receiver error right here.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck.
I also don't like have much.
Yeah.
Okay. How about this? We will get WASM Cloud folks on stream for next time. If they don't, we pause this for a moment and we spend some more time on the rest side, potentially automating things, GitHub actions, releases.
Yeah, we can do that in the meantime. Get the release tags out there and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't know. I've still learned a lot. I learned a lot more through the failures than the success. So, but it should be easier to tell what's going on. Like maybe something's wrong with the component. Maybe something's wrong with the config. I guess an alternative path we could do is take our same application and build it with the WASM Cloud tool with is it Wackage or Wash?
I mean, that shouldn't be the issue, right? Like Bailey said as much, because what they're doing internally in Wash these days is they're using the same tools essentially. They're using WASM package tools.
Yeah,
which is
I'm
what
just like kind of what's the phrase? Trust but verify.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but when one of the authors of a tool says I am using the exact same tooling, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm willing to trust that is. I don't need to verify that part.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I'll take this and I'll just file it as an issue and just see if someone has any recommendations in the meantime, and then you can reach out too. And we'll go from there. And then, if we don't have any word back. We'll pause this and we'll go into the component and kind of spiff that up a little bit. That sounds like a really good plan.
Yep. I mean, unless Bailey joins us next week at the same time,
Yeah.
which would be good.
Okay. Well, I definitely know how to reproduce the issue, so I've got no fear.
Yeah, that's good.
No fear of needing to leave the clusters running, so I'll take care of that. Cool.
For sure.
Well, wish it was more productive, but I feel like I learned a lot. So, yeah, it is what it is. We shall return.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Well,
Thanks everyone.
See ya.
Bye.